Welcome, I'm State Senator Michelle McManus, and you're viewing In Touch with Northern Michigan, my monthly cable show. Thank you for tuning in this month. This month I have Dave Adams, and Dave is the CEO of the Michigan Credit Union League. Welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Well, it's great to have you back, actually. This is a second section that we've done, and today's program is really on everyone's financial literacy.
Right.
And you have a few tips and some things that we're going to learn today. But before we do that, why don't you help the viewers by giving us a quick background with regards to the Michigan Credit Union League and what you actually do.
I'd like to. I am president of the Michigan Credit Union League, and that is the trade association for Michigan's 375 credit unions. Credit unions are not-for-profit cooperative financial institutions. Everyone in Michigan has a relationship with a bank or an insurance company or a credit union. So what we do is we help credit unions serve their members and serve their communities.
Okay. And certainly in the 35th State Senate District, there's quite a few credit unions.
There are a lot of credit unions in your district and all over the state. Again, 375 credit unions serving about 42% of the population. And the people who are served by credit unions tend to be the middle class, maybe lower income and middle class, but we also serve obviously people from all walks of lives and from all different demographics.
Okay, and today's topic, financial literacy. Is this a new item that the credit unions are trying to get out into the public, information about this particular item? Or?
Well, yes and no. No, from the standpoint that credit unions, by their very nature, are serving their members' financial services needs. So inherent in that is providing them with counseling and advice and help with financial services matters. So from that standpoint, they've been in the business of financial education forever. But what's new is our country is really facing some significant challenges with financial literacy, with the fact that young people and adults alike just really don't have the tools that they need to make smart financial decisions. So credit unions are really engaged in various types of programs trying to help their members and their communities understand the basics of managing their finances.
Well, what are some of those programs that you talk about?
Well, one of the big areas for credit unions is credit unions are very active in the schools. Now, there are different dimensions to financial literacy. We as adults often are not very well prepared to manage our finances or to even help our kids understand the basics. But credit unions are very focused in the schools. We lead the nation here in Michigan in the number of classroom presentations. We reach 45,000 students a year with about 2,100 classroom presentations done by volunteers in the schools, helping young people understand about their finances. Credit unions are also very active with student-run branches throughout the state.
What are some examples of student-run branches?
Well, many credit unions were organized around education bases, serving school districts and such. And so many of those credit unions in particular have set up student-run branches. Some credit unions have as many as 40 different student-run branches. And they'll go into a high school or a middle school, and there will be an adult in there supervising, but young people can actually work in a credit union and help the young people make deposits and withdrawals to an account so they can earn a little bit about basic finances. And for those who work in the credit union branch, they actually learn a little bit about how to work in a financial institution. Okay.
And you teach people how to budget and set financial goals?
Right. Now that's another dimension. What I was referring to was for young people, but you're right. Most credit unions are also very active in their communities sponsoring events, free sessions where people can come and learn about basic financial skills, learn how to avoid identity theft problems and predatory lending and such. Many credit unions are starting to look at that as something that is a big part of giving back to the community.
Going back to the education in the classrooms. Now, this education, does it happen at what level?
Well, it tends to be at the middle school and high school levels, where kids are starting to take a greater interest in money and start to understand. They're getting allowances, or they're starting to work, and so they need to manage their money wisely. That tends to be where credit union volunteers are focusing.
Okay. Help the audience to understand how to set a realistic financial goal and how to achieve it and how to stick with it, sort of like a diet.
Right.
Which is tough sometimes.
Well, it's a good analogy, Senator, because, a lot of us think about physical fitness, and we're we're coming up with New Year's resolutions and we're setting goals to deal with our physical fitness, but not very many individuals and families talk a lot about financial fitness. And so financial fitness includes all the different facets of our finances. It starts with how we earn money, but it includes the way we spend money, the way we save, the way we borrow, the way we invest, the way we plan for retirement. You get the idea. The way we avoid scams such as identity theft and fraud and predatory lending and so on. But you asked the question about the basics of how do you go about doing it. Well, I think first of all you have to make a commitment, just like you would with physical fitness, that I want to get better. And I want to get control of my finances, and a big part of that is to set a simple savings goal. You know, in our country, for the first time since the Depression, the last 2 years, in 05 and 06, we actually had a negative savings rate in this country. Back in the 80s, we were saving about 10% of our income. In the 90s, we were saving 5%. Our nation as a whole now has dipped into the negative. We're spending more than we're earning. And so on an individual basis, that spells trouble. So I think the first thing is to make a commitment and then to just set a reasonable goal, even if it's 2% of your income, but do it and do it regularly.
I want to go back to the identity theft issue and some of those others that you spoke of. This is a really an issue that has elevated in terms of the awareness. People understand identity theft, or at least know that it's out there. How do you prevent it?
Well, it's very difficult to prevent because you never know when you're going to be a target. But a lot of it is common sense. You know, safeguard your important documents at home. Put them in a safe deposit box or in a secure place in your home.
And what are those documents in particular?
Well, anything that has your, like your driver's license and your social security number, your bank or credit union account number information, you know, bank statements, credit union statements, those kinds of documents, keep them safeguarded. And you know, still one of the biggest areas of identity theft is coming from what they refer to as dumpster diving, where people are getting a hold of receipts and information, you know, documentation that has some of that data on it. And so one of the best things that people can do is actually invest in a paper shredder. Shred your documents, shred your receipts, shred anything that has that information on it, safeguard the important documents, and then be alert and be on guard, because there are all kinds of ways that people can steal your identity.
Now, I have a shredder, so do I shred everything, or what do I shred?
Well, again, I think it's common sense. I think that anything with receipts and account information and so on, stuff that, you know, if you're keeping it safeguarded, you probably don't need to shred it. But it's common sense. Anything that someone might get a hold of and get access to your driver's license, your social security number, or your bank account number, those are the kinds of things you want to safeguard.
Most checks have, you know, my name, my address, probably my driver's license on it, in some cases even my phone number, and at the bottom of the check it has the routing number and all that sort of thing. How do I safeguard under those kind of
well, with checks,
situations?
you know, there's less exposure with that kind of information. But I think the key thing is to safeguard important documents. Be careful not to just throw your receipts around. Hold on to them, shred them, and just be on guard. Some of the more recent identity theft scams include phishing, P-H-I-S-H-I-N-G, phishing, which has to do with emails that come to you where people are asking you to provide certain information to them, and they're grabbing it online. A good example is for a credit union or a bank. If you get contacted, which I have personally, by your institution asking you to provide certain information, you need to make sure that that really is, first of all, a legitimate financial institution is never going to do that online. So be on guard. In this case, I was contacted and they were asking me to go to a website and provide my home banking information. Otherwise, it would be disconnected. And of course, my credit union would never do that. And so there are these phishing scams where through email and online activities, they're trying to grab that information. You just have to be on guard.
What if you buy a lot of things over the internet? You're giving them your credit card number. Sometimes you're even typing it in over the computer.
Right. You know, this is a huge area, Senator, because it really is convenient for people to do their shopping online, and most of the online shopping is very safe and secure. I think that you just have to make sure that you're using a secure site. There is a